I've never seen it. I just heard about it.
A priest who has a dog.
I mean, we should love God's creation. There's no question about that. Okay, it is His creation. But to be preoccupied with animals going to heaven, animals can't choose otherwise. Okay, so that shouldn't even be a concern. The concern should be us.
I think it's more of continually being attached to your pet, and they presume that they go to heaven. So of course, they want to make a rule, because if I'm going to make it to heaven, if I'm going to have to see my brother who beats me up all the time in heaven, why not the dog who defends me from my brother? Kind of thought. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is that our fulfillment in heaven there will be no conflict. Okay? Your husband who beat you up, if he makes it to heaven, it will be a joy and delight. Okay, so there won't be conflict in heaven. Okay, but the principle is that if animals are destined to go there, they can't choose otherwise. So that shouldn't be a concern. The concern should be about us, who can either choose for or against God.
So what exactly did she say to that person, Mother Mary?
I think she said it along those same lines, yeah.
But she could be kind of...
I can't remember the answer, but because I was just upset by the questions.
Yeah, she says things so funny sometimes.
Yes, I can't.
Sweet way.
Yes, I can't remember the answer specifically. Yeah, but she tried to calm him down, because the man was truly sincere. His voice was like somebody who has lost, a dear one.
He gives donation to the church for the sake of his dog.
By the way, this is a true story. Okay? Truly, some things happen for, I don't know. But this is a true story. Someone had a dog. This person had fallen away from the church. The dog died. And this person was so upset about the dog dying that he came back to the church.
That's a good thing.
But the dog did something.
He went to heaven.
Okay, so let's continue with our text again. Created for each other. Verse 21. So the Lord God cast a deep sleep on the man, and while he was asleep, he took out one of his ribs, and he closed up its place with flesh. The Lord God then built up into a woman the rib that he had taken from the man. Do you see anything in that sentence there? Very profound. This doesn't mean that a woman came from a man, therefore a woman should be man's property. No. Basically what it means here is this sentence is loaded. There's these verses. What it means is that man and woman are made of the same element, matter. So they are equal. This emphasizes the equality of male and female. Same material, made of the same material. Okay? It's not that a man should rule over a woman. No, same material. The equality of male and female is emphasized in this text. But also, later on, the fathers of the church see the depth of the meaning of this particular verse here. That the man who is falling asleep is Christ crucified on the cross, as he dies on the cross. And when Jesus Christ dies on the cross, he is pierced, okay, with a lance. And the rib, the slave is open, the heart is open. And from that, a woman is fashioned, the church. Okay? So these are very deep theological, realities. Okay? So when he brought her to the man said, "This one at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, for out of her man, this one has been made." Okay? And then Jesus quotes that verse. That's why a man leaves his father, mother, and clings to his wife, and the two of them become one body. Okay? So man and woman were both naked, yet they felt no shame. emphasizing the state of original justice, closed with sanctifying grace. When you lose sanctifying grace, you become naked. Okay. So the language there, okay, I will make him a helper fit for him. None of the animals can be man's partner because they can't reciprocate affective love. The woman God fashions from the man's rib and brings to him elicits on the man's part a cry of wonder. So you men, when you see women, you must exclaim wonder. Okay? Not oh, gee. It's a cry of wonder, an exclamation of love and communion. Okay? That's what God intends. Okay? This at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Man discovers woman as another I, not an object, not an animal. Okay? Another I, sharing the same humanity, the same dignity. Okay? So man and woman were made for each other. Not that God left them half-made and incomplete. He created them to be a communion of persons in which each can be helpmate to the other, for they are equal as persons and complementary as masculine and feminine. In marriage, God unites them in such a way that by forming one flesh, they can transmit human life, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. By transmitting human life to their descendants, man and woman as spouses and the parents cooperate in a unique way in the Creator's work. Okay, so let's go back. Okay? Man and woman are made for each other, not that God left them half-made and incomplete. He created them and rather to be a communion of persons in which each can be helpmate. So a woman is called man's helpmate. Okay? What does that mean? That means that a man should sit on the couch, cross his legs, and wait for dinner. Looks at the watch and says, around here dinner is never on time. Do it.
Not just never on time, never comes.
It never comes. What does helpmate mean? The woman is helpmate.
Compliment each other.
These words are not like words we use in ordinary language. They are theological words. So their meaning is different from ordinary usage. Okay, so we have to be aware of that. The word helpmate is theological. A woman is helpmate because she represents God, who is man's help. That's the meaning of that word helpmate. A woman represents God. God who is our help. So it's not the helpmate of the ordinary language. That's why we have to learn the language of the faith. Okay? The words mean different things. Okay? So helpmate, oh, you are my helpmate. Help me with this, help me with this. That's not what it means.
Not help me, they say, do it.
Okay? They call them what? How do you call them? Who told me that? They call it honeydews. Honeydews. Whatever they have. But I think we have it here. We have that explanation here. Okay? So that's the meaning of helpmate. So a woman represents God. That's the meaning of helpmate. So man and woman, okay. So it's a communion of persons. Okay, I've forgotten about that. Communion of persons. What is that? What does that mean? A communion of persons. A communion of persons is very, very important. David, this works. And this word communion is also very important. It reflects what we mean by covenant. It's not just a group, okay? It's a communion of persons. Why does God do that? Because He made them in His image, male and female, as the text tells us. Okay? Male and female, He made them. Now, if He made them in His image of God, what is the image of God that humans reflect? In the way God has constituted it, a communion. So man and woman, this communion of persons, male and female, okay, is a reflection of what? What is divine communion? The Trinity. It's a communion of persons. Father, Son, and let's do it like this. Father, Son, in the unity of the Holy Spirit. Okay? So that is a communion of persons. So if humans are made in the image of God, they must also be a reflection of Trinitarian divine communion, the communion of persons. Okay? And in this communion of persons, there is the exchange of love between Father and the Son. That exchange, as we said, takes place through the third person called the Holy Spirit. It's a communion. So that's why humans are made in the image of God. So the image of God is not simply male or female, but male and female. Why? Because it's a reflection of divine communion. And divine communion is an eternal exchange of life, and which we may call love. Okay? Okay, these things are very, very important to understand this. The image of God is not simply male. It's not simply female. It's male and female. Because it's not simply God's image, but the image is a communion of persons. If you are made in the image of God, okay, we are made in the image of that communion of persons. And so, He creates them, male and female, to become a reflection of divine communion, hence the communion of persons. And that communion, He made them male and female, a reflection of Trinitarian communion. Let's look at it again in this way. Man, woman. Okay, we are explaining the image of God. Okay, man, woman. What does man and woman do? They reciprocate love. Okay? They're exchanging love. What did we say Adam said when he saw the woman? The exclamation of love and a communion. Because it's built within the couple. Okay? God created us with that basically intensive attraction toward one another for that communion of love, which is a reflection of Trinitarian communion. And that's why male and female properly, basically in their proper functioning, okay? And if a couple doesn't have any biological hindrance, but they can produce life through the exchange of their love, you get life. This exchange produces life. Hence the commandment to go and multiply. Because love by nature is fruitful. Okay? God's love creates. So the image of God's love is also creative. That's why we say that in essence, okay, any human union which is intrinsically, okay, and we use that word, intrinsic. Okay, opposed to life. The word intrinsic means that if any human union comes together, which by nature cannot be fruitful, it's contrary to God's plan. That doesn't mean that there are no couples which can't have children. They're there. But you know that it's not intrinsic. It's just a biological defect. Okay? That's not intrinsic. But like homosexuality, if a woman comes with a woman or man and a man, intrinsically, by nature, that union can't be fruitful. By nature. That's what we mean by intrinsic. And that's how we know that it's contrary to the divine plan. Because we know the divine plan is a reflection of divine communion, which is fruitful by nature. So you see the reflection here of family life in this sense, that the love of the Father, which love and life, and the Son are inseparable in the Holy Spirit. That's why we say Father and Son are one in the Holy Spirit. That's how we end our prayers always in the liturgy, in the unity of the Holy Spirit. The love is exchanged through the third person. In the Spirit, they are one. I and the Father are one. Okay? By the Spirit, okay? So Jesus said, I and the Father are one. So also, when you see that reflection, the image, man and woman are one in the product of their love. Okay? If biologically they are capable of having a child. As we said before, you cannot have a child, like if parents are divorcing, what do they do to children? You remember Solomon, his wisdom, when two women came arguing that the child belongs to either. So Solomon didn't have DNA testing. So what did he do? They were arguing, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. So Solomon said, okay, let's do it this way. He said, bring the child. I'm going to cut the child in two so that each one of you takes half. Okay? The mother of the child said no. Okay? Let her take the child. And that's how Solomon knew who the real mother of the child was. So when people divorce, they don't cut the children in two because you can't separate that love. Okay? So the mother can't say, well, the hands belong to me, the head to the father, the legs to one leg to the mother, the other one to the father. No. The love of mother and son and mother and father are inseparable in the child. That's how profound that love is. And that's why the church is very, very adamant, okay, in emphasizing that life should be brought into this world the way God intended it. Because it is a sacred act. Life shouldn't be brought forth anyway in test tubes and whatever, because it's such a dignified act. Okay? A human being is so dignified that we shouldn't basically mess up with the means God intended. Okay? And this is basically the context of bringing life into the world. If we mess up this, then our communion of persons is messed up. You see that in divorce. Okay? What do you do to the children? They are shuffled from one parent to the other. Okay? It affects them profoundly. Okay? And also the parents themselves are affected in a profound way. So it's not the way God intended things to be. One time there was a divorce that went through, and somebody came and told me, yeah, I got it. There may be circumstances that may lead to that situation whereby people can't live together anymore. But it's not something to celebrate. It's just a sad reality. Okay. Let's take a break. Okay?